Well, hello, everyone. Can you see this? Can you see what it is? Okay. This orange has the potential to become so many, from a delicious juice to use for a pie. You can use it as a ball as well. Not really its purpose. Or you basically, that's the same thing that happens with the. And what is this? Haven't we all heard in the art, it's just a hobby? Why are you doing that? That's not going to get you far. Well, I beg to differ. American Bank of Development begs to differ. Actually, economy, the represents culture, creativity, identity. The orange economy is everything that has to do with economy, meaning from culture, to music, to intellectual rights. All you see, that has an impact. In America, we have such rich culture, just like in other parts of the world, that we can't let this opportunity slip away from our hands. And the orange. We have to take this opportunity and see culture as a tool for the. You see, any project that is looking for sustainability, when you have the orange economy working, you have demand, and you need to have an environment where it can thrive. So the question is, passionate about culture. Why am I so passionate about diversity and identity and have come here with a to talk about culture to all of you? Like many of you, I was all in international school. Actually, in this school. And it has changed a lot in 10 years. But you know what has changed even more? Not the fact that I'm here in the gym, but the world. The world rapidly. And just like we're growing and developing in so many areas, you can imagine it keeps going up and up and up and up and reaching new heights. But at the end of the day, really remember what's in the bottom? We can't forget what our bases are. And therefore, that we're like trees. Our core, what's actually going to nourish us and let us get to the heights where we want to get, those are our roots, our culture. And it is up to us to take that and see where we want our brand. I'm also a mutt. And I've questioned my identity all of because, as you can see there, I have indigenous background. I have European background and Afro-Caribbean. Sum all that up to being an where diversity is just effort all the time. This is where my passion. And now, it is not just my passion, but my compass. I believe that culture has in itself the power to create change, the power to create sustainable development. But as you can see, how can we create a sustainable future if we don't really know where we come from and who we are? Many may know what an extended, You're lucky. It's a really, really long paper. And when I was here in 9th grade, I decided that I wanted to do my research. The role of Indigenous women. Yeah, that wasn't available at the libraries either. So I was told to narrow it down. And I'm like, okay, the role of Embera women in their community. It's only so, it should be easier. Not really. That I should not do this, do something easier. More, an easier A. Don't stress it. I'm sorry I couldn't do it. I had to go for what I was passionate about. I had to go what I knew was right, not what others thought was right for me to get a better grade. And that's when, you start talking. Well, what is it that you're trying to do? Well, you tell your story. And that's how, from one mouth to another, someone came up to me and said, there's this little town where the first of an Embera community, it's called Ipeti, and it's in Darien. This is the jungle. And it's closer. Roads were terrible. To take me, and I was like, okay, good. I'm actually gonna do this. I think she was not so happy about terrible roads, but it worked. There, I had the opportunity to meet an amazing woman, Omaira Kasama. She was not only the chief, but she was a mother. She was a leader. She was a woman that had believed in herself and believed that culture and education was not only going to get her far, or her community, but her daughters. Me straight in the eye. I know you're going to come back. And I would have loved for you to have met my. In that moment, I wasn't able to. But just like a lot of her words me for the rest of my life. And as you'll see later, people and the stories that we share with them, it makes a difference. So here, 16 years old, full of look like nowhere, learning about their culture, learning about who they really were. And this is 2000. No one is talking about culture. It's a thing. Actually, the term economy came to existence but I knew I was passionate, and regardless of what I did or how I did it, something out of it. You see, back then, these are the baskets woven by Embera women. Molas, done by the Gunas. Now you see it in the fashion industry, fashion shows, not just here, but in international ones. Back then, you would only see them on tables. So, how could this change? Well, you see, we started looking at things differently. And sparse people, me included, decided that this was part of our collective identity. And these stories shared. So, even though there was in the orange economy, there was interest to make a change. We spend so much time looking for things abroad, looking for things outside of this world to try to understand them. And we forget that we need to understand that surrounds us and understand ourselves, because that's an of being human. You can imagine what happens if I just leave it there. What will happen? It will rot. It will go to waste. This is going to happen with all of the diversity and the culture that we have around us if we don't pass it on. Remember how I got to... I did that through... Well, later on, after the extended essay, I decided to get certified as a life coach because I thought this was a tool to help other people achieve their dreams. And I decided during that certification to share mine. The good thing about sharing your stories is someone's gonna listen. Maybe not everybody, but someone's gonna listen. And so, a year after I shared that story, I got a call. I got a call saying, hey, I got your dream in my hands. Are you up for it? Are you up for the ride? Like, of course. This implied going deep into the Darien jungle, getting to know the and what really was what made them tick. What was it that they were willing to fight for? What was their dreams? What was their culture, their vision about the world? And that's when I joined. These are some of the women that I worked with. This is actually an interesting picture. Gunas and Emberas wouldn't work together. They actually strongly dislike each other. And here, they started to see that they had more things in common than they had differences. They started dreaming together and making the reality one that they were actually proud of. This, as you can see, my job was to turn dreams into jobs. And that's not Walt Disney. I mean, this is the model that had been followed for more than 18 years by Brand. We helped women go from a dream to create products in the New York International Gift Fair in less than 6 months. And all of this, sharing their story, seeing their skills, and really respecting what it was. So we helped women use their traditional skills that you saw in the basket to create scarves. Yes, it's kind of weird to have scarves. The global market allows for this to happen. Together to co-create products that reflected their heritage, that told their story. So no longer were they a jungle. They were not getting on a plane themselves, but their stories were, their culture was. The important thing about this is, it sounds impressive, right? It's become a money-making machine. No. USAID had to leave Panama because we no longer applied for their aid. Instead of being with us through the project till it reached a sustainable break in 18 months, they had to leave at 9. So we weren't able to scale it the way we weren't able to make it a sustainable enterprise as we wished. And that was hard. That was heartbreaking because at the end of the day, instead of fighting, decided, you know what? We just have to let it go. And imagine having your dream and you're working so hard, doing everything so right, and have it fall apart. This happens. And it happens often. But that doesn't mean this was just to keep going on with my bigger plan. Exactly how I felt though. I was doing everything right, but I was really, really frustrated. And that's when I noticed it wasn't the project. It was the environment. It's like putting a seed in the wrong grass. If I planted right now and watered it, it would never grow. It's fake grass. That. Yes. I had a Darth Vader moment. I went to the dark side. I ended up in a program where I learned one of the most valuable lessons. A professor told me about learning the rules of the game, shaping the game you play. And in that moment, I decided to go, I considered the dark side. I was used to working in NGOs. I was used to with the people. To go work for the government. It was the thing that I least in my 20s, but it was, I was a group that saw that cultural part of development had the will, liberty to create projects where before. I was able to collaborate with different, take people that had never traveled outside of, to take courses in Canada, to play an instrument that they had always wanted. I was able to take people from the interior to Egypt, culture, and to have that exchange. Sometimes we take for granted, but we can't really see all the time. So I was able to do international affairs with what I was passionate about. And fell apart. For political moment, the team started, and even if we had all of the things working the way we wanted, the environment was not the best. But I didn't give up. Seeing that collaboration to make culture sustainable. And that's how I ended up in the diplomatic career. Now, using diplomatic culture in order to make a change, to make the connections that are necessary to really achieve their goals, and to create a different environment where we can build projects that before, 10 years ago, were definitely not possible. You remember that story that I told you about Omaira in the jungle? About meeting her daughter. Life takes weird turns sometimes. And one day I was in my house. I'm part of a group called Global Shapers. We're the youngest community of Forum. And a friend from another country comes up to me and says, you know what, you're passionate about indigenous communities. You have to meet this girl. She's amazing. She's a mera, she's a lawyer. And she is changing the life of so many people. 10 years down the line, I was meeting Omaira's daughter. And now, not only did I meet her, but we're part of this group together and we're changing lives together. This was this year in Ipeti. We were able to create a project where women now and families in general have access to water and make it potable. Allows them to have the liberty to do more things, to create more, and have a healthier life. This, once again, is and allowing them to have a better quality of life within their culture, not changing who they are to have development. The same thing happens as when I was introduced, I have an organization. You might say, why are you working with women if you're so passionate about culture? Well, I saw that most of the in their power to pass that story on, to show their culture, to share it with other people, are women. And they're the ones that have the least access to financial access. Like they do not have access for money to create a sustainable enterprise. And that's why I got on board with Echi Derecha, to change that environment. So you can see there's different perspectives. And as long as you have the will to keep going, and that you know that your team is one of the most important things that you're always going to have with you, it's not the project, it's your passion, and it's who you're in reality with. So the orange is there for you to squeeze and for you to make the most out of it. And I hope that you all have the willpower and the passion. When you have a project that I know all of you do, go for it. You're going to have obstacles, but you have to squeeze all of the opportunities, all of the resources that you have in order to make it a reality. So I hope all of you have your own oranges and are able to make a difference in your environment. So good luck.
So, I don't think I have a keynote presentation ready yet. So, we're going to move through the film festival. Now, this is important because it's first film festival, and we're going to have a small intermission and the second one. If you like a workshop you're going to see, take note of it and go to it. I think I'm going to start a workshop at film festival. So, pay attention, eyes peeled, and yeah, this is all your efforts in one small video. Woo!
I know that Asian carp are an invasive species of fish in Lake Michigan.
I know that they're fish and that they're an invasive species and that they shouldn't really be in the Great Lakes, but they are.
Fish.
They're a type of fish.
The Asian carp are a kind of fish that has come into the United States waterways.
They don't belong in Lake Michigan. They're not there naturally.
I don't know, just messing up the food chain, really.
I don't know. They're invasive. They're eating like the species that are native to Lake Michigan. They're just like so hungry and they reproduce so quickly.
What is something? Dollies. What is something that is for boys? Stones. Do you think that's fair that they're boys?
made for girls? Dresses. Okay.
And what is something,
Fighting.
do you think that's fair for girls? Okay.